the truth.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the No Limit podcast, guys. I'm in Atlanta right now with the one and only AMAN. Thank you so much for coming in, bro.
No problem, bro.
Guys, this is so exciting. Once again, we are upping the No Limit podcast. This is the first guest I'm getting on with all the new equipment. I'm really happy to be here with you, bro. First off, I just want to get into a little background about you, then we're going to go into some psychology stuff. So first off, just how old are you and how did you figure out about trading?
23 years old. I formerly go by CEO AMAN on Instagram. You know, you guys know me. I got into trading back in 2018. I was around 18 when I got in. Like I was almost, turning 18 when I got in. And yeah, I got in when I was, in school. I was in high school actually. And I had a classmate and he was in a famous MLM company. You know, you guys would know, IML.
Yeah.
And, he was trying to recruit me into this, pyramid scheme, whatever. And he was just like, yeah, you could make money on your phone. You could turn your phone into like an ATM machine, whatever. And it was cool to me. It was just like, wow, like, you could make money on your phone. Like, we didn't know that, when we were in high school, like, it's crazy. Like people would ask each other for money for the vending machine. And now it's like, I see this kid, he's making like money. I'm just like, yeah, like put me on.
Yeah.
And so long story short, I got into the MLM, he got me and I joined it and I was just like, okay, so there's something called Forex, but then there's this marketing. And then I didn't really fuck with the marketing part. So then that's why I went to, Forex. I left the MLM, but I still knew about the concept of Forex. I went on Google, YouTube, watched multiple videos and just tried to learn from there. And here I am right now.
Yeah,
I'm
most
23
definitely.
years old. I've owned 2 supercars. Like, life's been great.
I love it, bro. And that's why I was so excited to get to like interview you. Cause at the end of the day, like, so you said you started learning at 17, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And by 23, you've already accomplished so much.
Yep.
So getting to come to Atlanta, you picked me up in the Lambo. It's
Of
been a
course.
great time. So I appreciate you once again,
Always,
just
man.
coming on, bro. But, so you said that, IMO, that's how you first originally, but throughout your journey, what was that turning point that really like, when you like strayed away from the IMO stuff that kind of like, leveled you up to start becoming profitable?
Obviously like, the first year I didn't make anything. I blew like almost $30,000, I used to work a little job and then, I used to funnel that. I used to also sell shoes on the side. So that was like my little hustle at the time. And that's when like Yeezys and everything was hype. So I used to buy them like retail and then flip them for like, profit. Like it was crazy profit at that time. Like, a certain shoe or $200 would actually go for $1,000. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember getting like a batch of like, 5 to 10 of them and then flipping them. Like, it was like quick, like 5-6 grand just like that. But all that money that, I used to make from my job and, all these hustles, I poured it into Forex and, obviously I kept blowing accounts. It was just a journey. Went through multiple courses. And the thing is like, I kind of put together a whole strategy after, going through a bunch of courses. Because, everybody has a unique way of looking at the market.
Yeah.
And I learned that. And basically, bro, I know smart money and I know retail trading both. I combined both concepts and, put together a master strategy.
Yeah. Basically the price action, all that type of stuff. Yeah. So basically like on the No Limit podcast, I like to like come and meet with traders and not only talk about their come up and how they like got to where they are, but then the psychology battles and everything you went through to get to where you're at. Because in my opinion, that's what a lot of people in the audience need to hear because I mean, we all went through it. You know what I'm saying? It's not an easy game. A lot of people look at us like, I literally got a DM once that was like, hey, I heard that for Forex trading, you need to be on the inner circle to understand how to do it. I was like, what do you mean? No. It's like, I just worked harder and I figured out like ways within the market. So going forward, I just want to ask you like, what's the difference between you and people out there and why, like how, like what about you got you to where you are now?
The main difference is like Forex is something that's like a hands-on thing. And it's like, no matter how many courses and no matter how much education you intake, if you don't apply it into the market, into a live condition, you'll never learn it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I always stress, like, I'm also a mentor in the game and, I have multiple students and everything, I've taught thousands of people how to trade. And the biggest thing is just like, don't trade demo. Like, even though if you only have $20, $30 that you want to trade the real money because there's a different psychology aspect behind it when it's real money.
100%.
It could even be $10 or $11 or whatever. Like, yes, you could trade $100,000 demo, but you will never understand the psychological aspect of risking live money.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And that's why I always kind of preach just starting with like smaller amounts of money and growing your way up. I totally remember when I first was getting into like the prop firm space, I came from more live accounts at first, I've been in the game for a little longer, but I remember, going and doing these FTMO demos and passing them like water.
Yeah.
And then when I went to do my first one, not the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's totally a challenge. So, you know, there's all those psychological battles and people out there like struggle with, you know, so like, I just wanted to ask you, like, if you were like a beginner trader in 2023 learning Forex, like kind of how would you go about it?
If I was back in 2023, what I would say is what I struggled with is I tried to trade like multiple pairs at once.
Okay.
That's what,
that's
you know, really was psychologically messing me up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would do is like, let's say if it was GBP, I would try trading like every GBP cross there was, you know, because you know, I would be like, okay, yeah, you know, it's moving one way. But, you know, in reality, one pair, one session is key.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, like, you know, I'm a gold trader and I only trade in the New York session, you know?
Okay.
So that's what I would say I would advise people is that stick to one pair and really master it, you know, learn exactly when that certain pair moves. And yeah, you could literally make all your money from just one pair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of my last guests was Parse, and that's the same thing he said with London session, GJ, London Open. Are you kind of similar with New York with gold, just the New York Open?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Parse, you know, he was always a great friend of mine, and I know about London and GJ. I traded that my first 3 years of my career.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so we're in Atlanta now. I just wanted to ask, like, did you have any friends here in Atlanta, like, trading with you that you were on your come up with that you still kind of work with to this day, or?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple friends that, you know, were trading with me at the time. But, you know, obviously trading is a journey.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes people don't last the whole journey. People give up early.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, it was a big group of 10, 15 people, you know, trying to learn this. And then all just came down to like just 2 or 3 people who really made it.
Yeah. Was that hard for you to like kind of do it like alone on your own?
I mean, at times it was because, you know, coming from, you know, Indian background, like, you know, my parents always pushed me to go to school, you know, aspire and go to college, get this degree and whatever. And obviously, you know, I was one of those that, you know, I actually didn't finish college. And, you know, it was crazy because my parents were like, well, what is this? Like, you know, is this going to last a lifetime? So it was another psychological hurdle that I faced. You know, they were just like, oh, you're wasting your time on the computer. But, you know, evidently, you know, they started seeing the come up, trust the process, and, you know, we made it.
That's awesome. They believe in you now and everything.
Yep.
That's great. Does that feel great for you to have your family supporting you and stuff?
And I support my family as well.
Yeah, that's great. Do you live alone here in Atlanta?
No, my family actually lives with me.
Yeah, no, that's great, bro. So I already asked you like in 2023 if you had to like learn Forex and stuff, but I kind of want to ask you another question kind of similar to that about like if you only had $1,000 to your name to kind of invest, like how would you go about it? Would you, you know, put into an account, you know, into maybe education? Like what would you do?
I would invest it into education.
Okay.
Because it's no point putting it into an account when you have no knowledge. Because that $1,000 you could blow it in literally 2 seconds. Unless you're trying to donate free money to the broker.
Yeah, unless you want to be broker food. No, that's great. A lot of people out here are just broker food. They don't even understand. So you said that you kind of like, once again, traded price action, traded SMC, like all that type of stuff. What, in your opinion, is the number one thing like to go? If you're looking at the charts, like what is kind of some confluences and stuff that you kind of look out for?
So I look at like, you know, higher time frame candle closures like on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. And evidently, one sauce that I would give probably is the session. You know, if you're trading a USD pair and in New York session, watch when CPI hits and a lot of the news hits, you can catch major moves. And if you do miss that move, you can catch the NYSE Open, which is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And I myself, like I trade at 9:30 a.m. Eastern every day. So like that's a set time that when I trade. So,
yeah. Kill zones. You know what I'm saying? No, that's great advice. So you like trading news?
Yep.
No, that's great. We just went over a little bit about the demo trading. So you said like just off the bat, you just wouldn't recommend demo. I
mean, you could do demo for like a month, but if it's something that like, let's say you've already got your strategy together, then if you want to, you know, level up, go to the next level, fund a small account. And that's when, you know, you'll test your psychology behind it. You could have the greatest strategy in the world, but if you don't have the psychology behind it, it's not going to be anywhere.
No, definitely. What's your thoughts on prop firms?
Prop firms are great, you know, but, you know, there's also a catch to it. You know, like when you get $100,000 account, is it really $100,000 account? Like, you know that, you know, you only get 10% to lose. And for those of you guys who are trading prop firms, I always recommend to my students, like, you know, 0.5% per trade risk, because you can't risk 2% like people say, because you only have 10% to lose.
And you can go on some dry, you know.
And once you go, you know, on a bad losing streak, because a losing streak happens to everybody. And that's when, you know, you'll have trouble coming out of it.
talking about losing streaks, like what are some things that you do to get out of like your, because once again, we all go through it,
Of course.
but is there some like mental battles or things that you can do to kind of get past that?
Yeah. So if I ever encounter a losing streak, which, I haven't really encountered that many losing streaks this year, like, as every year my trading has been getting more perfecting the craft, but what I would say is like, let's say if I lose 4 or 5 trades in a row, which is a very rare case, what I will do is just look at my chart and clear everything off of my chart, because what it would be that there might be something wrong in my zones or something like that. And, I would redraw everything up, but I will still continue using the same strategy, because I know that sometimes market can be choppy. We might have consolidations because of what's going on in the economy, or, some news item, market is preparing for FOMC, something like that, along the lines, we might have some consolidation. So I continue doing the same strategy, but sometimes, I'll just redraw everything on my chart just to, have a clear mind.
No, most definitely. I think that's really important to kind of talk about, because we all go through that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's great advice, just going and just emptying your chart, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you could have things on there that it's called like analysis paralysis. Have you ever heard that?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Analysis paralysis. You have too many things on your chart, just absolutely just swaying your judgment, all that type of stuff. So I like how you said, you pay attention to the higher time frames, wait for those candle closures, and also the kill zones.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like sticking to one pair, sticking to one session. I think that was really good advice. Like you said, guys, that's sauce. You know what I'm saying? You guys should be listening to this. Like, you wonder how people like this got to where they're at.
Yep.
It's, it's simple little things like that. And, like you said, you're always improving day by day. You know what I'm saying?
Always a student in the game.
Always a student. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So recently I see you with like, Ryan with FIP and that type of stuff. You want to speak about that at all? Because I see like a lot of like little clips coming out and stuff. I'm kind of excited. FIP is a, huge thing in this industry,
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, like, me and Ryan were very tight, very close friends, and obviously, I'm kind of becoming part of that Forever in Profit, whole group and stuff, we got a lot of new merch and just a bunch of new projects that, me and Ryan will be doing in the near future. So yeah, stay tuned for it.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Once again, we're the same age, we're both 23, and just like, how does it feel to be 23? And like, once again, like I'm not in that position, but to like, going back to when I wasn't as profitable, learning Forex, looking up to Forever and Profit, were you like that? Like you looking up to Q Banks, looking up to Ryan?
Yeah, I looked up to a lot of people in the game, and they were always my motivation. And, I obviously, I worked my way up. And, now it's just like, I'm in the circles that I am in now, it's been a dream to be in it.
How does that feel? Like, how was that switch? Is it like surreal to you?
It's been phenomenal. Like, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it come quick?
Yeah, man. I mean, over time, I knew that, I put the work in, then I'll see the results. And, it's part of the results, as I started leveling up.
So I know like one of your first cars was the McLaren. What age did you buy that at?
I bought the 570 McLaren when I was 20.
20.
Yeah. I was the youngest supercar owner in Georgia when I bought that car.
You guys heard that here first. And then I think I've seen somewhere like, cause you got in a wreck and you crashed it, right? Yeah. And you crashed it with like a Lambo, right?
Or so we were at a car meet. It was Gumball 3000, very famous meet. If you go Google that up, you'll see it. It's people that drive all the way from Toronto. Like, they do a whole road trip all the way down to Miami, and they stop by each city. So yeah, it was just a whole big car meet, and a lot of people came out. And yeah, we were leaving the car meet, and there's a guy with an Aventador SV. He comes next to me. He starts like revving his engine, this and that. He's somebody who had just got the car, obviously. He was trying to show off. And yeah, he just tries to race me. So we're both, hitting the gas, this and that. And we're literally going like this. And he literally merges into me in the front. And it sends my car flying into the right lane on the road. And I ended up hitting my cousin's i8, which he was driving next to me. And yeah, all 3 cars, it was a total loss. But I'm grateful that I was okay. That's the biggest thing. Cars can be replaced.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of in the future cars that you maybe would want to get?
Yeah, I mean, I look to get either like an Aventador or a Revuelto one day. That's something that I want. But right now, I'm focusing on diversifying my money into different investments.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
No, that's great. So as someone, who's in the industry, you have a lot of connections, and like you said, you've met a lot of people here.
Yeah.
I have like a, just kind of a throw-in question that I kind of like to throw in there. If you were stuck on an island, and you only could have 2 traders with you, who would you have and why?
That's a very hard one. So two traders, I would say one of my boys, Javiel, he's a very great trader. He's not that big on Instagram, but he's upcoming. So I would say I would have him. And then Probably Ryan.
Yeah, there we go. That's great. I just like throwing in those fun questions, you know what I'm saying? So on the NOLIMIT podcast, like I said, I like talking about more psychology stuff and mindset things that we went through. Cause, you know, at the end of the day, we're all looking up to you, 23 with the Lambo, you know, you bought the McLaren at 20, but I know that, you know, it's not that easy. You went through ups and downs, and I wanted to ask you kind of what were some downtimes, because we don't get to see that. And everyone looks up to you, but what were some downtimes you went through that, you know, you had to get through?
So, you know, my biggest loss when, you know, one trade was like 50 grand back in like 2021. And that was, you know, it was a little hit, you know, it was like, wow, like this happened. And it happened because of overtrading, and overtrading gets to even the best of us. You know, sometimes, you know, we get psychologically attached to a bias. And, you know, I overtraded, you know, that week. It was very high news that week. And, you know, I overtraded, and, you know, that was one of my biggest losses. But I learned from it that, you know, I need to stick to the strategy.
Yeah.
You know?
Overtrading can be a killer.
Yep.
That's one of the things. Another question I have is, you know, earlier you kind of talked about strategy. Why is it that two people can use the same strategy on the same pairs and stuff, but then both people have different outcomes? Because
everybody has a unique way of approaching the market. I think everybody's brain is wired differently. And the way the market is, everybody always will have a different perspective. Like, you know, even though you might be in the same bias, the entries might be different.
Yeah.
Because somebody might think that, okay, we'll enter like 2 pips later, or it's just the way the market is. And you know, everybody's brain is unique. That's what I would say. And everybody has a unique approach.
Yeah, I like how early you said how like the markets are changing, and you know what I'm saying, you have to stick to the strategy. If you're through like going through like a dark time, keep going, you know what I'm saying? Your strategy is proven to work. Just because it's not working for a week, don't go and change it. It's great advice, guys. I hope everyone out there really actually does think that, because I know so many people out there, strategy hop. Stop strategy hopping. Find something that you know works, find a mentor, get that strategy, learn it to the T, do it over and over again. And if you have a bad week, don't change the strategy. You know what I'm saying? Wait for the markets to kind of correct themselves. So we're in Atlanta. We have an event on Sunday. How does it feel kind of to be like, once again, you came up so fast. Now you're one of the guys speaking at these events, at the FX Summit, you know, hosting this event in your hometown of Atlanta. Like, are you excited for it?
Of course. And you know, it's all about the impact. Like, you know, I want people to learn from my journey, and, you know, I love educating, you know, I like helping young people, you know, become successful. And, you know, like I like how, you know, people can look up to me and they can relate to me that, you know, a young kid out of ATL was able to make it.
Yeah.
And so can they.
No, that's great. We're putting on for the youngins, you know, 23, both of us trying to kill it. You know, we all have big dreams. And I put this on my thread the other day. I was like, I want to be the reason someone dreams big. You know what I'm saying? See someone who came from, you know, I didn't come from much, and like in such a short time of, you know, made the connections that I used to look up to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to watch you on Instagram, on YouTube, and I get to sit here and have a podcast with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's great. And life happens quick, guys. So, you know, if you've taken anything from this podcast, don't give up, stop changing strategies, and don't quit on Forex. That's one thing that a lot of people do, is they go out and quit, you know, or go out and quit, you know what I'm saying? But I want to get into just some more advice for beginner traders. Like, what kind of advice do you have for people out there that are just struggling, don't really know what to do in this industry? So in the beginning, you have to work on, you know, getting the strategy together first. And then after the strategy, the hardest hurdle will be the psychology. And that will be the hardest hurdle for every new trader. And trading is 99% psychology. That's what I would say. Yeah. It's only 1% strategy. Yeah. You know, you could be the greatest trader, and if you can't hold your trades, you won't be successful. That's facts. Or if you cut your losses, you know, when they're, you know, over your stop loss, you know, you're not going to be successful. If you cut your winners early, you're not going to be successful. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What's your thoughts on risk to reward? Is that a big thing you aim for? Yes, risk to reward is, you know, pretty significant in my trading as well. Like, I aim for 1 to 5 risk to reward trades. Oh, nice. So 1 to 3 plus, you know. And the way I trade gold is I trade gold with a 20 pip stop loss on every trade. Awesome. Yeah. Every single trade? Yeah. So I try to hit like, you know, 80 to 100 pips a trade. Okay. And on gold at that New York Open, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get that volume. Yeah, exactly. So you're a volume trader. So you're a scalper, right? Yep. I'm a scalper. Do you ever hold your trades a little longer? So, you know, speaking of that, this past week, I've had to hold trades for 12 hours. Oh, because of the way gold was consolidating. Yeah. I'm sure you've noticed. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I think it was Monday, I held a trade for 12 hours just to catch 80 pips. That's because of the market being slow this week. Yeah. But yeah, so I try to be a scalper, but if I don't get the 80 to 100 pips, the 1 to 4, 1 to 5, then yes, I'll hold it throughout the other sessions. Do you go break even at all? Yeah. I mean, you know, I set my stop loss to break even after a 1 to 2 risk reward. Okay, cool. Yeah. No, that's smart. And then I let the rest ride. What you kind of talked about, like, not to risk 2% and 1%, but I think you said half a percent
on a
risk
funded account.
on a funded account. For someone trading like $1,000 account, what would you kind of advice you give to them?
On a $1,000 account, much, like, I know a lot of people want to do flips.
I know, yes,
yeah. It is possible to do flips, but is that sustainable over time? No.
Yeah.
So on a $1,000 account, you could probably risk like $25 to $30 a trade. If you really want to be, making some money, because I know if you risk 10%, you're not, or 1%, you're not going to really make too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. No, that makes sense.
Yep.
So another question I have for you is, what inspires you? You work so hard, you've accomplished so much in this industry and just in your personal life. Like, what inspires you and what keeps you motivated to keep going?
Obviously, like, I just, growing up, I used to love cars.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just like, one day I'll get an exotic, a supercar. And, that inspired me. Also, like, the financial freedom. Like, I know people who work 9 to 5s and stuff. And, I see how miserable their lives are.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I want to keep being financially free. I want to keep leveling up, have bigger goals in mind. And yeah, that's what, has me going every morning.
Yeah,
when I wake
exactly.
up.
Just motivation. Does that Lambo motivate you when you go outside and see it?
Of course, like, literally, like, these supercars, like, when you purchase them, like, every time you see the car, you're like, wow, like, this is an accomplishment. This is an achievement of my work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything, like, whether it comes to watches, jewelry, whatever, whatever you love, and when you get that, it's a symbol of achievement to yourself that, you did it.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to get to that point in life.
No, that's awesome. So I've been following Elite Capital for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Are you did you start Elite Capital with
yes,
some of your?
That's my company.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. Do you do it with anyone else? You have some help now?
I have like educators and stuff on the platform as well.
That's awesome.
But I'm the main one on Elite Capital.
That's awesome. Shout out Elite Capital. I'm definitely gonna leave all of Aman's links below, guys. Of course, obviously. But with Elite Capital, is there anything like coming up or any like stuff you can kind of tell us about, or what kind of just the next like year or so, like what's gonna be happening with CEO Aman?
Yeah, in Elite Capital, we plan on expanding. I plan on going on a little tour, like doing events in other cities, like,
Mm-hmm.
in-person classes. Just doing more for the community. I already do a lot for the community. I do daily Zooms and everything. And yeah, I just plan on, growing the community, creating like, a small group within the community of like, the most successful traders, and then, using that to funnel in other projects as well, bringing them on with me on other projects.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anything outside of trading or outside of like Forex in the industry, like anything that you have planned or stuff you want to do or accomplish in your life? Yeah.
So right now, like, another avenue of mine is, the clothing brand, with FIP, like, I'm getting into that, that's like an e-commerce approach, like,
Mm-hmm.
that I've always wanted to do. And obviously I got the opportunity with Ryan to, hop on board and do that.
So clothing, has clothing always been a thing for you?
Yep.
You always with the Amiri and stuff. I always see you on the
style,
IG.
man,
Yeah. No, that's great, dude. I'm super excited once again. Just seeing you at a young age, it's really motivating. I know that we're the same age, but getting started at 17 and by 20 you already had the
McLaren.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on year 3 of trading right now. I'm starting to obviously make my mark in the industry, and I hope when I can keep moving up in the industry and keep doing things to hopefully get to where you're at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really motivating, and I just want to thank you once again for coming on here, speaking your truth and all that type of stuff, bro. I'm really excited once again to just watch you at the end of the day. Like I said kind of previously, just at 23, same age as me, killing it. And once again, I just want to thank you to coming on the podcast, spitting so many gems to the people out there, because at the end of the day, like, they need to hear this. It's super cool to like listen to traders and listen to their background, how old they are, how they came up, but like it's really those mental weaknesses and things we had to go through to get here, because it wasn't easy. So I really appreciate you kind of sharing that. A couple last questions I have is, could you share maybe like your biggest trade and also maybe your like worst trade?
Worst trade, I spoke about it earlier, the 50 grand loss. I have made roughly almost 50 something K on one trade. It was back last year.
Okay, and that was the biggest trade?
Yep.
And how did that feel?
Yeah. It was phenomenal. It was like, wow, like, I was really able to do it. The thing about me is I'm a trader who's like more consistent. Like, like I know there's a lot of traders who are one hit wonders. Like, they'll make a lot of money in one trade. Then after that, you don't ever hear from them ever again.
They just sit on it.
It's more about the consistency, because the way I treat trading is, when I started, I used to treat trading as like, if I can make a certain amount of money every day, then that would substitute for me going to go work a 9 to 5 or something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, once again, bro, I think this is just a great interview. I want to thank you once again for coming on. This has been such a great interview. Well, guys, this is the first, not the first in person, the second in person, but with the new gear, there's gonna be a lot more stuff coming, and there's no better guest to start it off with CEO AMAN, bro. I want to thank you once again for coming on here, bro. Man. And guys, I think it's gonna wrap up to the I don't know, I think it's like episode 15 of the NOLIMIT podcast. So I appreciate you, bro. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming. And event, we're gonna have a lot of videos and stuff coming from the event that we're having on Sunday. Speaking, obviously Amon's gonna be there speaking. So many other good guests, Sai, Ollie, QB Stu, you know, James Storm, Story Trades, everyone. It's gonna be a great event. I cannot wait, bro. But once again, thank you for picking me up, letting me shoot the podcast with you, and I think this is a great conversation. I think everyone out there is gonna, you know, enjoy it. So that's gonna wrap up the NOLIMIT podcast, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe. I'm gonna leave all of Amon's links below, so make sure you follow him. Elite Capital, his YouTube channel. He has a lot of the new vlogs and all that type of stuff dropping. So make sure you're gonna catch that. But until then, thank you for being here, bro.
Good one.
Yes, sir.
The truth.
Yo, that shit was fire.